What do you think about designing from scratch? I know it can be pretty intimidating, but you can do it. And I'm here to help. Hi, I'm Christy from Crafty Christy's Creations, and I'm here to help you master your silhouette. So let's jump in. So I recently purchased a little camper. This is my casita trailer. It's super cute. It's only 17 feet long. Perfect for just some weekend getaways. And it's time for me to create some camping themed things. So I thought I would take you along on the journey as I create a little trailer trash decal for my trash can. I saw that in one of the little YouTube videos I was watching for some ideas for modifications and upgrades for the camper just to make life a little more exciting. So let's jump into Silhouette Studio and we're going to start designing from scratch. Here we are in Silhouette Studio, and as you can see, I've got the 12 by 12 page here. A little intimidating that it is completely blank. And we're going to start off by creating our little camper. So I'm going to come over. Now I'm in business edition. Let me just preface with that. I do have some more options for some pre-made flexi shapes. I don't know that I'm going to use those for this, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I've got this little half moon that would be easy to use. But I'm just going to start off with the ellipse tool, and I'm going to draw out a little ellipse here. And I want to make this kind of look like my camper, so let me pull in a photo. So I'm just going to navigate. I'm going to do File Merge, and I'm just going to pull in my photo. Okay, here it is, and now I can just grab this and shrink it down. I just want a little visual because I want this to look like that. And actually, I realize already that the ellipse tool isn't going to do it. So I'm actually going to grab this rounded rectangle. It's not perfect shape-wise, but we can fix that. So this is my general shape. And then whenever you have the little dots there, you have to convert that to a path to make that its own shape. And I can round this a little bit more. Control Z. Don't mind me, I'm a little rusty here. Haven't done any creating in a while. I'm going to grab this one, and you can see as I pull that down, that adjusts my corners. And then same with this one, that's gonna make it a little bit more rounded. And then I can make it a little bit taller. But you can see in my picture here, it really looks rather like a box. So I want this to look like that as well, but these corners maybe are little rounded like that, and then that front is a little bit different, so I can change that. But once you've got these dots more kind of how you want it, that looks good. Now we can right click and convert to path. Now this is my shape. You can go ahead and give that a fill color if you want. I don't mind just doing a shape like this to get me started. And now I can double tap, and that's going to bring my point editing. You see how this front is a lot more rounded. It could certainly just be the angle of the photo, but I want to round this a little bit more. So I can grab these points here and round them out a little bit more. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to leave it like that. Ooh, it's not actually... Let me get those straight. There, that's better. Okay, I like the way that looks. It looks a little more rounded. Now I'm going to put this little guy on the top there. Again, I'm going to use that rounded rectangle to add that on top. And I think it needs to be a little bit more square. I like that. Let's go ahead and convert to path. And then I can double tap, bring in the point editing to really get the shape how I want it. This one here, I'm actually going to delete that point. You can also just use the delete key on your keyboard. And when you pull the handles, that's going to change that shape. So I'm just going to round it a little bit. Okay, I like that. I think that looks like that. And let's now go ahead and give this a fill color, just so we can tell that these are two different objects right now. And then the other thing I want to do is put some little cutouts in for the door and the window, and then also on the tire. So I'm going to stick with this rounded rectangle, and about right here, I think that looks good. I can go ahead and, whoops, I didn't select the right thing. And I'm going to convert that to a path. I'm going to give it a fill color. And then actually I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key on a Mac. I'm going to click and drag that one over. And then I'm going to hold down the Shift key so it turns a perfect 90 degrees. And I'm going to use this same shape and make my door. You can see that's going to come all the way to the bottom there. Make it a little bit wider. I think that looks pretty good. This might need to be a little bit bigger as well. And then we need to do, let's grab another one of these. So the Alt or Option key, click and drag. Again, I'm going to turn this one. And because it's got that red outline, I can still tell where it's going to go. This is going to be the inside of my window. And I'm going to just try to make that a little bit smaller. Let me give that a different fill color. And I'm holding the Shift and the Alt key to shrink that to the center of where it's at. Okay, I like the way that that's looking so far. Now what I need to do, I'm going to just do this as a one color. So I'm going to take this yellow and we're going to zoom in here because we're going to weld these two shapes together. So I need to make sure they're actually overlapping, and I want to make it cut friendly. This piece here needs to be a pretty smooth edge. So I'm going to use my arrow keys and just tap that down a little bit just so I can get this edge nice on there. You can see how I'm kind of angled back. I'm okay with that. We've got this curve here, and I think I'm going to use those point editing tools, and I'm just going to take this one and I'm just going to go, if you hold down the Shift key, you'll get a nice straight line. And I think that's going to work just fine. So now I'm going to, let's zoom back out. I'm going to grab my yellow piece and my purple body. I'm going to come over to the Modify panel and I'm going to weld those together. Now you can see this is one piece all the way around. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to select my blue window. And I'm going to select my body, and now I'm going to hit subtract, and it's going to cut that window out. Now I have to decide with this one, if I cut out the entire door, do I want to leave this window? But that would look kind of weird. So maybe let's just grab this green and the whole body, and we're going to hit subtract. You're not going to see it because this piece is in the way. And then I have to decide what I want to do with this. For for right now, I think I'm just going to pull that off to the side. That looks kind of goofy, doesn't it? So I think I'm just going to Control Z to move that back into place. We're going to grab both of these and I'm just going to subtract that as well. That also looks really funny because now it looks like the door is completely pulled out. Okay, I don't like that either. Control Z, Control Z. I'm going to leave both of those pieces there, and I'm going to have to decide here in a minute what I want to do with that. But we can also put a little spot here to make a little cutout for the tire. So I'm going to grab my ellipse tool, and if you hold down Shift, you can create a nice perfect circle. And it doesn't have to be really big. I'm going to make that black-ish. And this is going to go, let's see, it looks like it should be kind of about right there. So now I'm going to make another one. And I'm going to paste it right there in place. So Control plus C to copy. And oh, I can never remember. And of course, I don't have my cheat sheet with me. Control plus F to paste in front. So now we're going to do Control F, and that pasted my copy in front. We'll give it a different color. And then I'm going to shrink that copy down. And that's going to be like the inside of my tire. So this starts to get complicated because now you're like, well, if I subtract this part out, I want to keep this to be the inside of my tire. So I'm actually going to make one more copy of this large one. So Control C, Control F. And I'm going to make this blue, and I'm going to make it just ever so slightly larger. And then this, I'm going to subtract from here. Subtract. And that gives me a little bit of space there. I think I'm going to leave the blue, and then I can decide what we think about grabbing both of those and hit subtract again. And then there's my tire. That actually doesn't look bad. I think I'm going to leave it just like that. So that larger piece that we made gave us this little bit of white space around our tire. And then we've got this white space here, which is going to be like the hubcap part. And we might need to do something like that for the door. So I think, but I also need to maybe straighten up those bottom edges. So again, I'm going to double tap, and I'm going to grab probably just this one here, and I'm going to come straight down. Same with this one here. Come straight down. And then that'll make that straighter to come straight across. And I'm going to make another copy, Control C, Control and F to place that right in place. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt, so it's going to pull from the center and make it slightly larger. And that slightly larger one, I'm going to grab my base, and that door will go back to our modify panel, and I'm going to hit subtract. You can see it looks slightly goofy because it didn't quite pull evenly. So I'm going to grab my window and my door, and I'm just going to use my arrow keys to tap that up. So we have that looks good. It's not a ton of white space. I think that'll be fine. And then I'm going to take that window out of the door, subtract, and then I just need to kind of clean up that bottom edge to match at the bottom here. So what I'm gonna do, the easiest way that I think to do some of that is to just make a straight edge across the bottom, and I find it easier to just come in with something like this, and looks like we need to pull this point, some of these down a little further. Okay, and then my rectangle, I also have to give a fill color. And now I can subtract. And now that makes my door nice and straight across that bottom there. And I'm going to paint this the same color so I can use my eyedropper. And then same with the wheel, just because I'm going to be making this all one color. That way you can kind of get an idea of what that's going to look like. Okay, so here's my little camper. And here's what we've got for our little camper here. And then I'm going to make, kind of comes from, maybe from here. So now I'm going to do like the little hitch piece here. And I'm just going to try to make this very simple. And I'm going to do, we have to do the piece that comes down to the ground. So I'm just measuring it so it comes the same height as our tire. And then I can grab these two and I'm just going to align them on the bottom. This, we're also going to give the same colors while we're messing with it so we can see how this looks. So there's my little trailer hitch. And then it's got a little handle. This is going to be kind of thin. And let's do another one that sits on top. That's maybe not quite so tall. And maybe this needs to be a little bit thicker. So then both of these, I'm going to give that same color. And just by giving it that color, it helps you get a good idea of what this looks like. I'm going to scoot these over. I think that looks pretty good. It's not perfect. Oh, and we should probably have a little tire at the bottom here. So let's come back in with our ellipse tool. I'm just going to draw a small circle. We'll go ahead and give that the same color. But I also know that I want these to be on the same line. So I think I can do it like that. Maybe let's make this a little bit bigger. So I'm holding Shift and Alt to make that a little bigger. Okay, and then I think maybe I want to do a little stair. So to do that, I'm going to just draw a rectangle. But also knowing that these have to be, I'm going to hold down Alt or Option to click and drag another one this direction. Click and drag another one to the center, holding that Alt or Option key. And these have to be coming across. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys to tab that up. Okay, let's see what we think when we give that all the same color. I think that might be too low. So we can take both of these. If I select both, shrink them down, and then grab all of that and bring it up a little further. And I think maybe I'll just connect that to the door. Yeah, I like the way that looks. Okay, so that all looks really good like that. So now what I'm going to do is hit Control A, oops, to select everything, and then I can just deselect my picture. So it's going to grab all of the pieces that go in with our camper here, and I'm just going to hit weld. And you'll see that not everything's attached. So right now the inside of the door with our step is one piece, our tire is another piece, and then our camper is another piece there. And that's okay. That's how it's going to end up looking. But that looks great for our little camper. So what I'm going to do, I want to make this one solid piece so as I move it around, everything moves together. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to make this a compound path. Now you see we only have one bounding box around my entire design. So I'm going to just go ahead and zoom out a little bit more here. And now all I have to do is pick a font and add my little trailer trash on here. So I'm just going to hit T on the keyboard, and that brings up my typing tool, and I'm going to hit trailer, and then I'm going to do them as separate words. So hit the T again and do trash. And trash is going to be at the bottom, trailer is going to be at the top, but I'm going to select both of those and let's pick a nice font. And lately I have been in love with this Love Vibes and this Vanilla Cream. So I just really like this Love Vibes. That's the font I'm going to use. And then let's just, I'm holding down Shift and Alt to grab from the center, except it makes it too big. I'm not going to do anything fancy with the text. You could certainly sit here and decide to curve the text around if you wanted, but let's see, what are we at? I like round numbers, so let's do 177 for the font. And then here as well, 177, hit enter. And then I'm going to grab all of my things here, and then I'm just going to align them center. And there we have it. So these I'm also going to give that same color. And then now all I have to do, I want to push this down a little bit further. And now what I can do, grab all of these and let's make sure they're aligned center again. And then I can use this space vertical to make sure they're spaced evenly between each other. And I like the way that looks. I'm cutting all of this out in one color. You could certainly do the text as one color and then the camper as another, but I'm just going to make it simple, do it all as one color. So I'm going to come in here and hit Make Compound Path. Now you see now I have one bounding box. This is all going to be, now it's just one big decal. And it is ready to size and cut and to put on the trash can that goes in the camper. Well, what did you think about that? I know it can be intimidating to design from scratch, but look how easy that was, and we did it in just a few minutes. So if you would like to see more videos about designing from scratch, comment yes below so that I know this is the kind of video you want to see, so that way you can really get one step closer to mastering your silhouette. So remember, comment yes below this video so that I know that designing from scratch videos are what you want. I'll see you in the next one.